The best investment for 2026 is not crypto. It's not some AI stock. And I wouldn't even say it's real estate. To me personally, this is all my opinion. I'm just a normal guy on YouTube that likes to talk about finance. I have no degree in finance. I really just started learning about finance and investing about 5 to 6 years ago. Really about 5 years ago I started investing when I got my job. So to me, the best investment for 2026 is investing into the S&P 500 or investing into a fund or a ticker symbol that tracks the S&P 500. And I'm going to tell you exactly why I keep my money there, not why you should, why I keep my money. This is my personal opinion. I think this is the best investment for 2026. So before we start, what is the S&P 500? The S&P 500 isn't one company. It's 500 of the largest, most profitable companies in the US. So we're talking Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Nvidia. All the big companies are in the S&P 500. So instead of just investing all your money into Tesla, instead of just investing all your money into Facebook or Nvidia, you can just invest into the S&P 500 and then you're getting a cut of every single company. So when you invest into the S&P 500, you're not just betting on one company, you're betting on the whole United States. You're betting that all these companies will do some type of good, because guess what? There could be 10 or 50 companies in there that do bad, but then the other 450 are doing good for that day or for that week. And honestly, probably only a few companies that actually control the rate of return for S&P 500 anyways, because they're such big companies, and a lot of the companies in there are not the same size. They are not as profitable. Maybe one company is super profitable and the other one's not as profitable. Just by investing into the S&P 500, you're going to benefit from the crazy rise from that one great company. And to be honest with you, the S&P wins over time. And to be honest with you, the S&P wins over time. It has had a historic return of about 10%. So if you invest in S&P 500, you're going to get about a 10%, 7% rate of return on your money. I'm not saying that it does that every year, because there are times when the market's going to dip and you're going to get a negative 20% rate of return on your money, or negative 5. There's going to be times when the S&P 500 is losing, when the S&P 500 is down and other stocks are doing much better. But generally, you're going to get about a 10% rate of return on your money when you invest in S&P 500. And that's very hopeful. We like to look at our returns at about 7%. You know, we got to account for inflation, account for when the market is down over time. So over time, you might get a 7% rate of return on your money. So it really rewards patience, because people who try to time the market, they end up losing. But people who stay invested usually end up winning. And that's why the S&P 500 is so important. That's one of my main holdings. So before I kind of had my investing plan, I was investing to all different kind of things. I was literally investing to 10 different stocks, and I was splitting these 10 different stocks up with about $500. Why am I doing this when I can just invest in the S&P 500 that holds all the stocks that I'm investing in? It just made no sense to me. So I switched over, and now I'm just investing solely into the S&P 500. Even my 401k is invested into a fund that kind of matches the S&P 500. I think it's one of the best stocks for me. And you know, you might think differently, but I believe that investing in S&P 500, it's easy. Like I said, it's all the stocks, all 500 of the top companies in the US are in the S&P 500. And guess what? When a company does bad, when they fall out, the next best company comes in so that your money just continues to rise. And it's super important to be investing into the S&P in 2026, because this is a new year and people are going to hesitate, but not you. You're not going to hesitate. You're going to take action this year, and you're going to actually invest into your future. I come on here literally telling people to invest. I just love talking about finances. I think that more people need to know about investing. More people need to know why they should invest. And more people need to know how to invest, because a lot of people don't know how to invest. They don't know where to invest. They don't know what websites to invest with, how to use the apps. And people have no idea about investing because it's not taught in school. A lot of our parents probably never invested, so they never even talked about it. A lot of our parents probably never invested outside of their 401k. Even then, they probably never even knew how to move the money into a better fund within the 401k. Investing is something that is not talked about enough, and I come here every Wednesday and Sundays and we talk about investing because it's super important. So let me give you guys an example of how much money you can have after 10 years of investing into the S&P 500. So if you invested $500 a month into the S&P 500 and say you get about a 10% rate of return, you'll have about $100,000 in your retirement. That's just $500. So we're talking about a car payment. We're talking about going out to eat budgets that people go on. We're talking about entertainment. Just $500. People are spending more than $500 for the car payment. So if you say you can't find $500, then I may be calling BS. especially if you have a car payment. Your car payment is $700 to $1,000. So if you got rid of your car and you actually invested that money into an asset and you did that for 10 years, you can have $100,000. Let's say, I got my calculator here, my investment calculator, I love it. Let's say you did $1,000 invested in, and you could do this through your 401k, because your 401k, usually your employer gives you a match, and then you put whatever you can. So you can put maybe 10%, whatever gets you to $1,000 invested monthly. If you did that, then you have about $200,000 in your account. Absolutely insane, just by investing $1,000. Now, $1,000 is a lot of money, especially in times like this when everything's expensive. You have to do what you have to do. If you have to get a second job, if you have to work overtime, then you have to do it. But I just believe that it's worth it because investing is super important. So to be honest, guys, one of the main reasons that I choose to invest in the S&P 500 is because it's simple. I don't have to be right every year. I don't have to do my research on which stocks are going to be ripping this year, which stocks are not. I like to keep investing simple, and by investing in the S&P 500, it helps me do that. So I don't have to focus on which stocks to buy, which stocks to sell, when to buy. I just buy and I hold it because I started investing so early. I have a long time to invest. I have about 20 years left of investing. That's a long time. I just throw money into S&P and it does what it does. That's crazy. So the return for the S&P 500 was 16 to 17%. Now that's crazy. That's super high. That's not gonna happen every year. This is what I'm talking about. So this year it could be 10%. This year it could be 5%. Who knows what's gonna happen this year? But I promise you that the next years to come, it's not gonna be 5%. It's gonna be about that 7 to 10%. 2025 might be 17. 2026 it might be 6. It's gonna bring that average down to maybe 12. Maybe 10 over the last 2 years. So the best investment in 2026 isn't exciting. It's consistent and it's boring. And that's personally how I like investing. I want investing to be as boring as possible. I don't want to be on a high one day and on a low the next. I like consistency when it comes to investing. And that's why I invest into the S&P 500. That's why I think it's the best investment for 2026. And if you want to find a way on how to invest into the S&P 500, you know, invest to a ticker symbol, I do VOO and FXAIX. VOO is my brokerage account, which I'm about to turn that into liquid money because I found I don't really need to invest in a brokerage account. And I want to talk about, you know, my personal investing plan in a different video, but I don't need to invest in a brokerage account right now. I don't need it. So I just invest into VOO and FXAIX. FXAIX, Fidelity, that's their version of S&P 500. VOO is Vanguard version of S&P 500. And just throw some money in there, guys. Just throw $50, $100 and watch your money grow. When you first start investing, the majority of money you see in there is going to be your contributions. But over time, when compound interest starts working in your favor, which is kind of getting to that point right now, for me, you're going to see your investments explode. And I'm starting to see that every single day, especially with my 401k. I put most of my money in my 401k. That's where most of my money is going because it just works in my benefit for my retirement plan. Most of my money goes in my 401k, and I'm just starting to see that account grow and grow and grow. And I have to give you guys an updated video on how much money we have in assets now, because I did one last year, maybe like mid-year, where we had just crossed $100,000 invested. But I'm telling you, but this compound interest have been working in our favor, and we're well over $100,000 now. I have to kind of update you guys how much we have invested now into our accounts, and it's just so exciting to see these accounts grow when you put them together. It's just super exciting for me, and I love talking about investments. I hope that you guys now have an idea of where you can invest your money, and hopefully that it's not scary as you think it is, because you hear people losing all their money. You hear people betting on these high-risk stocks. Investing should not be betting. Just by investing in S&P 500, it's almost guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. In my opinion, investing into the S&P 500 it's one of the best investments and one of the best paths that you can go down. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.